So my CRV has a problem. The bumper that was on here that came stock is ugly. So for the longest time I've been trying to hunt Marketplace for a decent JDM bumper. To my surprise, a little while ago, eBay actually came out with a replica Chinese JDM full mark front bumper for the first gens here for like less than half the price with free shipping. So right here, you can obviously see we've got the bumper. Now bringing this up close to the camera, you can see it's kind of like the OEM style plastic texture all throughout the bumper. See it there. But as far as quality, I mean, it seems solid. Getting it on the car is a pain and a half, but once it's on there and you know the sun's hitting at it, it kind of fixes it to the car. A lot easier to put on and take off than it was the first time. Plan is to actually sand this down and actually get it paint matched to the car, but in today's video we actually have different plans. I cannot be caught lacking riding around in a bumper with fog light holes with no fog lights, and I'm too broke to buy original RD1 fog lights. So obviously with the stock ones out of the picture due to my fundings, the next option that I found are the Jeep Wrangler 9000s. Yo, these things tough. So mocking them up, they actually don't look too bad. I mean, first looking at them, they just scream Amazon, Wrangler, rubber ducky, but we'll see. So these are actually for a Tacoma, so the bracket's actually different, which raises our first issue. This is not gonna fit on our bumper here. The bumper, the mounts are on the same plane, while this is offset by, I mean, 1.25 inches maybe. So this is not gonna cut it. So in today's video, we're gonna be designing a different bracket that'll actually work on our bumper here. Besides this, our second issue, now obviously we need to turn our fog lights on as well as off. So another eBay search later, and we have a entire wiring harness for $9. So this actually includes an inline fuse. So we got an inline fuse right there. We actually have a relay with the connector. Oh, it looks like that's staying off. I can't get that back on. And then it runs up this monstrosity of a switch. I don't know who is installing this in their car, but they're at least generous enough to put 3M tape on the back if you're, I don't even know if you're on some different time to put this in your car, but it includes a switch. We got everything right here. This ended up being, I mean, this whole harness bundle thing here would have been cheaper than buying a relay and the connector for the relay. So we got plenty of wire to work with. We're gonna have to trim it up and I think possibly add some wire, but we got our fuse holder, we got a relay, we got our switch that will be going straight in the trash. We gotta switch some of these terminals over. We already got the bumper off, so we might as well start with the wiring harness here. So my plan for the fog light harness is gonna be, I mean, probably as straightforward as it gets. So we're gonna run, I don't think the wire or actual lead wire off the relay is long enough for what I'm trying to do. As far as relay location, I'd like to keep it at least somewhere over here, nothing too crazy. I'll probably keep it along the strut tower, maybe over here, hanging off for zip tie to one of these brackets. And then the inline fuse will just go straight up to the battery there. From there, obviously, we'll have the lead wire off the relay. We'll just go right through here under the airbox, down to our first fog light here. And to clear the bumper, we actually had to remove the airbox like resonator thing. It's a big old box that sits here. I couldn't even tell you what it does. Probably some scientific stuff, but we went ahead and ditched that to clear the fog light. And I believe we are gonna have to do the same thing for the washer reservoir here. From what I've heard, I think there's a way where you can finesse a fog light around this. We'll see, especially since we're making our own brackets. We can possibly clear this without removing it. It'd be nice to leave this in here. Me personally, I couldn't really care less if this is in here or not, but we'll see with the brackets that we make if we're able to clear this thing, if that's even doable. For the meantime, we're focusing on the harness here, which will hit the first light there and then come follow this harness and obviously just split off around here and go to that second light. I would have liked to kept somewhat of an original looking switch, but for the meantime we got this Mickey Mouse looking switch up here on the dash that should do the job just fine. Anyway, with all of that being said, this thing is not gonna hop on the car with me talking your guys' ears off, so let me go ahead and start wiring this thing up. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna probably just keep the relay around this area here. Kind of like I showed on the overview. We will probably have it somewhere hanging off this bracket. There we go, so I got you guys in a little closer there. So we got it mounted up right there off that bracket on the strut tower. So next we have our power and our ground here. We'll get that guy just over there for the time being. And then for the ground, we have probably this shortest wire known to man here, which honestly should just ground to one of these bracket bolts. There's a 10 mil here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So there's a 10 mil right here. That should ground. We'll bust the multimeter out real quick just to double check that. So I got a test light here. I'm just gonna hook the gator clip up to the positive terminal, and then we're just gonna ground it off on this bolt, and hopefully she makes a circuit. Oh. Yeah, okay. So that'll work as a ground. So we'll run the ground just right to that bolt. We'll loosen that up. So this bolt here is just gonna be a 10 mil. So we'll throw a ratchet on there, get that up in here. There we go, so we should be grounded there. Next thing is running this lead cable, which we can go ahead and just zip tie a route down to the first fog light there. Okay, hopefully you guys can kind of see what's going on here. Hopefully it's not too dark, but like I said, we have our lead wire, which is just as simple as one positive, one negative. And we're just gonna run that. We're gonna snake it around with the AC line here. And then this AC line goes straight down to this cutout. And that's actually where your resonator box for the air intake sits. Sits under here, but then there's a tube that comes up through here. And I believe there's another one that came up and ran in front of the transmission there. Like I said, to clear the bumper and a fog light, you're gonna need to remove it. So now we have access from that hole. So let me go ahead and get this thing ran, and then I'll show you guys kind of how I ran it. So we have our relay right there, and then our wire comes down. And instead of actually running it along the AC, you can see I kept it going along the wiring harness. Goes down there, and then cuts off right down that airbox hole and leads us right out here to where essentially our light's gonna be. I thought the wire here was gonna be way too short, but it looks like we might actually cut it close to being able to make it to the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this side cut, and we will kind of mock it up. We'll kind of see if this is enough wire to actually make it to the other side, or if we'll have to get some of our own wire and kind of extend it out. But let me get this thing cut and then we'll see. Yeah, awesome. So that actually turns out, I'm really surprised. That thing looked a lot shorter than I guess it really was. Nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all the connectors that I need on here and kind of get this finalized, and then I'll do a once over, kind of showing you guys what I did and where it's ran and everything like that whenever I get that all tidied up. So we got it all wired up. You can see we got the connector here. Comes up through there, kind of follows our harness. It actually ended up being not enough wire with all the bends and stuff, so I did actually have to, you see the red wire is obviously different from what we had going on. Comes down the harness here, comes across the core support, back up through the bumper, back out here, meets up with the other connector that we had here. And obviously you guys remember where that ran. And for testing purposes, I went ahead, wired up the battery here. I'm a certified electrician, so do not try this at home if you're unsure of what you're doing. And yeah, we come down to this Mickey Mouse switch down here. You see it's stating that it is off. And then when we go ahead and flick it on, we actually do get power to both sides for the fog lights here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually get the wiring from the battery to the panel inside where the switch is going to be mounted. For you guys, the next clip you'll see is this thing all tidied up and looking good, and the switch remounted in the car. Boom! So obviously a little bit of a settings change, but got the switch in, got it ran all the way through here, up out the grommet. You see we got a loom on there. And now the only thing we need is a eyelet for the terminal there. But you can see we got the light plugged in here. Let's go ahead and flick the switch. And just like that, we do have a working fog light. Now we just have to figure out a way to actually mount it up in the bumper, so then we can toss the bumper on and get the fog lights in. So let's start designing a bracket that'll actually work with our bumper. Okay guys, so I have a little model going on here. As you can see, we have our tabs on each side here that'll mount to the bumper, and then we have our holes right here. So here's the light that we're actually working with. You can see that it slides in and clicks in with this little circle here, which we obviously have right here. And then it'll pivot on that as well, so you can actually adjust it depending on, there's a set screw on the back. Now I went ahead and tried to mess with the set screw here. However, I don't think that we're going to be able to get that to work as of right now, just because the screw that we have, or the bolt that we have, is just a little too short to reach from all the way up here all the way down to where the light sits. So for right now, we're just going to leave it at a set height. I'm not too worried about the throw on this light. Personally, I'm putting it in more for aesthetics more than anything. But now that we do have a design somewhat finalized, let's go ahead and get this thing printed off. There we go. So we have our bracket here off the printer. Let's go ahead and get our light tossed up in here. Now the last thing we're going to have to do is I just want to eliminate the play that we have here, just so the light isn't jiggling when I'm hitting bumps and whatnot. So what we're going to go ahead and do for the adjustment screw here, we're going to drill a hole above it, and we're just going to zip tie it closed on the lowest setting like that. Well, setting. Not a whole lot of room for adjustment, as you can see, but should be fine. So we'll go ahead and zip tie that just so there's no movement when the light's actually in the bumper. So let me go ahead and drill that out real quick. And then that'll go ahead and eliminate all of our movement that we had previously. Okay, let's get this one tossed in the bumper. think it actually fits, dude, with the washer fluid reservoir. Okay. Fixed it to the car, so this is a lot easier to put on and take off than it was the first time. I had to push the e-brake up. Okay guys, and just like that, we officially have the fog lights all mounted up. You see this is them on the daytime running light mode, I guess, with the white halos. But it'll also give you those turn signal indicators as well. So with the install out of the way, I think it's gonna wrap the video up here. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I guess it's more like a brief overview of the JDM bumper, but obviously the fog light install as well. So I hope this helped somebody out there as far as what to look forward to for the bumper, as well as kind of a fix around for the fog lights instead of coughing up the money for the OEM ones. But yeah, with all that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. This thing's an ongoing project. I think next video will more than likely be the air suspension install on this thing. Really excited for that. This thing's gonna be all slammed. It's gonna look pretty sick, but that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Peace.